Well, thank you very much, Maya. It's a pleasure to be with you. We do have, as you are probably aware of, we have 3 sessions per year, one in March, one in June, and one in September. So you're absolutely right saying that by the end of the second week of the March session, we got into difficulties because the COVID-19 decisions by the Swiss authorities and UNOG in Geneva started to affect us, and we suspended the session on the 13th of March. And now the next session is supposed to be taking place by the mid of June.
Oh, so there is a schedule in place now. The meetings will resume in physical presence. The representatives of governments and NGOs will be back in the Palais, or will it be virtual?
Well, it's a long story. If you give me a few minutes, it's not so easy in these virtual days. First of all, the pandemic is affecting everyone, and in Switzerland we were in confinement as in most other countries, and progressively now the country is getting out of confinement. So what we have done in order for the council to pursue its activities is to organize some informal meetings by various platforms, particularly Zoom, but without interpretation. And for us, it's important, as you know, UN meetings, if they need to be formal, needs interpretation. So we had so far 3 informal conversations, one with the High Commissioner, one with special rapporteurs, and the third one was to discuss a possible presidential statement on the impact of COVID-19 crisis on human rights. So now the next step is the session itself. And the session would have to be resumed by the 15th of June, and then the next one would have to start on the 22nd. And from our contacts with the Swiss authorities, we will need to wait the 27th of May for the green light, but we will be in a position to resume our activities, but at a very low profile level. That is to say, a number of delegates only being able to get into the Palais des Nations for a normal session in person. That would be probably only one person per delegation, but if we manage to do that, we could carry on our activities fully in June, from the 15th of June to the 19th of June for the resume session, and from the 22nd of June to the 10th of July for the what we call the June session. But a lot of things would have to be virtual, but mostly we will be in person in Palais des Nations.
So that is good news in some ways. I know also the Universal Periodical Reviews were to take place this week, actually. The United States, I believe, was in the hot seat. And now that will have to be postponed to November, if I understand well.
That is perfectly correct. Yes, you are right. It was simply impossible to organize a session at this stage. When we suspended the session, we knew that it would take us quite some time to reorganize ourselves, and holding something by mid-May virtually was something which seemed and clearly was out of reach. So it has been rescheduled for the fall, and dates have already been agreed and approved. I must confess I've forgotten that, but it's sometime in the fall, October or November, and the calendar will simply be as it would have been in the month of May.
And what do you think of these new changes that we're having? Like everything is being now digitalized, our societies. That the crisis, the COVID-19 crisis has accelerated this transformation, this digital transformation, with many good things, many good benefits. But also there are challenges in terms of privacy issues and whatnot, and hacking issues. What is your take, and how will the Human Rights Council adopt and adapt to all these new challenges of the virtual world that will be much more part of our working lives?
Yeah, thank you. That's an excellent question. I must say that yours truly, as so many others, is discovering a word which was only a fantasy 2 or 3 months ago. If you had asked me what Zoom, Kudo, WebEx meant in February, I would simply have looked at you with very strange eyes, and I would have said, I have no clue. So we are to learn very, very speedily and swiftly. And I think this virtual world has been extremely helpful. We are certainly getting into new territories, and that will include probably changes in the long term. A number of activities we will be able from now on to organize by virtual means. So that does introduce a lot of changes, but also we are to be particularly careful. So we are using a platform so far for informal conversations, but we need to be absolutely sure about the fact that no one can intrude into the meetings and do something which you would not expect to do. So we have used it with utmost care, and we organized this informal conversation, ensuring that the participants would be, let's say, under virtual control. That is to say that they couldn't disrupt the meeting as had happened in other circumstances where people were displaying certain videos or messages or whatever, which were absolutely not appropriate for the viewers. So we have done that, but this was only possible because these were purely public meetings, which had been webcasted and were live. Now, the problem with, of course, the invasion on privacy and so on is an altogether different story, but the High Commissioner and the office and the special rapporteurs have already indicated that the word which is profiling in the next few months and years and decades will be different from the previous one, and we will have to be extraordinarily careful in the measures which are being taken to avoid too much intrusion and the respect of the right to privacy. In terms of the Human Rights Council, the Council has met, as I said, to discuss various of these issues, and we had an informal conversation with the membership and NGOs a week ago, and now we are going to adopt, hopefully, what we call a presidential statement, which in our jargon means a type of resolution which is consensual. And we will do that hopefully in the next 2 weeks. And that is a text which is being prepared by the president and which includes a number of considerations about what needs to be done in the circumstances, and asking the High Commissioner to report back to the Council when we meet again in June. And the way to do that is through what we call silence procedure. That is to say, we will send this document in a written manner or electronic written manner. And if no one breaks the silence, the text will be deemed approved and will have the same status as if it had been approved during a normal session. So that's in brief what I can say about these various aspects. In June, normally, crossing fingers, we would be in person in Palais des Nations, and then we would have the possibility to adopt our text in a normal manner. Nevertheless, a number of things will have to be adjusted. For instance, travel will not be back to normal for quite some time now, which means that a large number of our experts who are traveling usually from afar, they will have to join us by virtual means, either by VTC or in another manner, and we need to adjust our equipments and rooms in Palais des Nations, and that's not my shop, but it's the great efforts of colleagues there to ensure that it would be possible to actually listen to them and interact with them.
Thank you very much, Eric Tistounet, of the Human Rights Council branch of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights in Geneva, Switzerland, with Maya Plentz. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maya. It's a pleasure.
Have a good day. Talk to you soon, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.